The Knicks are losing a gifted young center. According to reports, the Indiana Pacers, who have been hit by a number of different injuries to their big man, have reportedly signed Moses Brown to a standard NBA contract. And by doing so, they steal another young prospect from the Knicks. We're going to break down all of these latest reports and so much more today. But before we get started, guys, about 55% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel. We are on a mission to try to get to 20,000 subscribers, and we could really use your support. If you enjoy content like this and you like daily Knick updates, please consider hitting that subscribe button because it could really support all the great content that we're creating for you. And now, let's get started. The Pacers steal a gifted Knicks center. Now listen, I understand. The Knicks right now are in championship contention. We're not worried about any rookies or anybody in the G League. We're worried about the regular season, getting as many wins as possible, and making sure for the postseason we're healthy and we can go all the way to the NBA Finals. But still, when it comes to young talent, you can never have enough of it. And I thought a few weeks ago, when the Knicks signed Moses Brown to the Westchester Knicks, I thought it was a home run of a signing. I thought it was a home run of a signing when they added him during training camp, because at the time, we needed more size inside. And at 7'2", doing what he can do, the way he can rebound the ball, block the ball, and get shots inside. And I know, even though it's the G League and we have to understand the talent level that he's playing against, it's still something to see that how efficient he can be, how good he can be on the rebounding side. And of course, when you need those blocks, he can come up clutch as well too. I thought having him on the roster in any capacity was good for the team. And you got to remember, with the Knicks converting Ariel Hukporti from a two-way contract to a standard NBA deal, we have a two-way roster spot open. So the Knicks could have easily taken a two-way roster spot and given it to Moses Brown. And if they did that, they would have never had to worry about another team going out and signing him. But now, according to Shams of ESPN, that's exactly what happened. Shout out to Shams for giving us the following report here. According to him, the Indiana Pacers are signing 7'2" Moses Brown. The Pacers add a center in the wake of Miles Turner's injury and Achilles tear to James Wiseman and Isaiah Jackson. Brown enters his sixth NBA season after averaging 19 points and 14 rebounds in the G League. Again, you have to understand it was the G League, not the NBA, but still, 19 and 14 on 70% shooting, that's something to notice. And the Pacers absolutely noticed it. We have to mention again, he was part of the Westchester Knicks before the Pacers signed him. And even though he was part of the Westchester Knicks, he had no deal with the New York Knicks. So any team that liked what they saw could have went out and signed him. And the Pacers having another injury with Miles Turner going down and them suffering from a number of different injuries, they didn't really have a choice. They had to find an up-and-coming center that looked really good. And when you look at the G League right now, Moses Brown was looking efficient, very good. And if you're in desperate need of another center, he's somebody that you're going to add. I just wish it wasn't the Indiana Pacers that went and got him, because Indiana is a rival team to New York. I don't want to see Indiana get better talent. I don't want to see them get better as a team. But by signing Moses Brown, I'm not saying he's an all-star by any mean, but he's somebody, if given the minutes, can be impactful. But because of the injuries the Pacers are dealing with at the 5 spot, it gives Moses Brown the perfect opportunity to go to Indiana and get a lot of playing time. And if he gets a lot of playing time, I'm not saying he's going to average the same thing he was averaging in the G League, but he might come close to it. He might be a walking double-double for them. It all depends on how much time he's actually going to get. But given the fact that they don't really have anybody on that team really to play the 5 position, he's going to get some minutes, a lot of minutes. And all the Knicks needed to do to prevent this was to sign him to a two-way deal. Even if later on they wanted to waive him and make sure they had that roster spot open for another player they wanted to add, they could have done that later on. But because they left him out there and open and available, any team struggling at the 5 position that needs more size or needs more depth, they're going to sign that player. And here's the funny thing. The Knicks right now could actually use more depth at the 5 position. So why not use that two-way spot to get a player like Moses Brown? Even if you're not going to give him a lot of minutes, maybe some minutes here or there, maybe he's going to be situational. At least you have him on the team and you prevent other teams from signing them. So they're still going to struggle. Now Indiana signing him, again, he's not an all-star, but he works hard. He plays hard. And going to Indiana, who's going to give him a lot of time, he's going to do something with those minutes. I just hope it's not something that we're living to regret, because the Knicks only had to do one thing. Because they didn't, it left the door of opportunity open. And the Pacers opened that door. They grabbed Moses Brown. And now we'll never know what it would look like if he joined the Knicks, if he was part of this team, part of the rotation in any type of capacity. Because Indiana now has him on their roster. And when we face them again, we might have to look at him and face him down the road. But honestly, with G League players, if they look good in the G League, oftentimes when they get to the NBA level, they don't look that good. We saw the same thing with Deuce McBride. He was tearing it up in the G League. But when he came to the NBA level, we didn't see the exact same level of impact. We didn't see it translate. Sometimes it takes a year or a few years. It takes some consistency. Maybe that's what's going to happen with Moses Brown as well, too. Only time will tell. But in response to this, after the Knicks lost Moses Brown, they made the following signing to the Westchester Knicks. Please don't make me say this name more than once. I'm going to try my best here. According to New York Basketball on the app X, after they lost out on Moses Brown, they needed to fill the roster spot somehow. So according to these reports, the Westchester Knicks added Czech Mabake Dong to the roster. I'm just going to call him CMD for the rest of the video so I don't butcher his name. For CMD, as you can see here, he's 6'11". So clearly they try to bring him in to try to replace Moses Brown. 235 pounds. He entered the draft in 2022 and he went undrafted. Currently, he's an unrestricted free agent. In terms of where he went to high school, he went to Florida Air Academy in Melbourne, Florida. I'm not sure exactly the type of player that CMD is, but what I can say is he is no Moses Brown. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a good thing for New York moving forward. This kid is 6'11". He is still 24 years old, so still young, still has time to develop on both ends of the floor. But after going undrafted in 2022 and still being an unrestricted free agent, I don't really have a lot of hope for this kid in terms of what he can do, his athletic ability, and what he's going to give the Knicks on the court. But again, this is Westchester. Their job is to develop the youth and see what we have down there. But the thing for New York is we had a strong level of talent down in Westchester that if we needed somebody, we can call them up and in a snap have them on this team. And I thought Moses Brown was part of that team, was part of that pool of players that if we needed them, we could call them up and have them on this team. But now it seems like the Knicks were not protecting him. And he was doing a lot of good in the G League. Again, I understand we're not going to make a lot of it because he was doing it in a league that the talent level always goes up and down. But the fact that he was doing it so consistently, I think it was worth a look for any team, including the Knicks, especially if we have a deficit at the center position, if we potentially need more size there. And you can make the argument, if you look at our team, Karl Anthony Towns, Jericho Sims, and Ariel Hukporti. That's all you have as centers on this roster. Other than that, we don't have any other players that can play that position unless we take players that are not traditional fives and stretch them to be fives. And if we do that, we can run the risk of injury. And as I already mentioned earlier, we are dealing with a number of injuries already. We do not need to continue to add to that list. We have to protect our players, and the only way to do that is by playing the starters less, expanding the rotation, and giving more minutes to the bench. And one of the players potentially you could have had on your bench and maybe given situational minutes to is a player like Moses Brown, 24, 7'2", can rebound, can score inside, and can block shots. Now the Pacers have more size on their roster as they try to recover from all of the injuries that they're going through. I'm not saying the Knicks have to worry about the Pacers at all, because let's face it, right now, the Knicks are a better team than the Pacers. Even when the season started, the Knicks were a better team than the Pacers. So we're not worried about the Pacers at all. The only thing we're highlighting here is that the fact that another team went out and signed a young prospect on the Knicks team that we could have used, that we could have signed, that we could have had on our roster, but we didn't do anything with it, and we allowed another team to take him. That's the only thing we're highlighting here. The Knicks do not have draft picks moving forward. It's not like more young talent is just going to fall into our lap. When we have it, we have to make sure we protect it and keep it on our team, or at least keep it in arm's length. I thought with us signing him to Westchester, that's what we were doing, but we didn't protect him when we did that. Now the Pacers have him in the process. I'm not sure what his role is going to be, but given the fact they have nobody to play the 5, he's going to play significant time. I just hope he doesn't do something substantial with the time that he gets, because if he does, we're all going to be looking back at this signing that the Pacers did and say exactly what I said. The Pacers stole this young center from the Knicks, and now New York will never get a chance to get him back, at least not right now. And if he outperforms what everybody thinks he can do, they'll never have a chance again. But what about you guys? What do you think about the following reports from Shams indicating that the Indiana Pacers stole Moses Brown from New York and their Westchester team? Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.